Hey guys, Creaty here. Welcome to the fifth and last episode in my 100th Macy's Parade prediction series. In this video, I'll reflect on all of my predictions that I've talked about in this series and share my hopes for the 100th parade, as well as give my final predictions for the 100th parade, including my predictions for some parts of the parade I didn't talk about in previous episodes. Keep in mind that this is not confirmed information from Macy's. These are all just predictions and guesses, in my personal opinion, of course. Without any further delays, here are my final predictions for the 100th Macy's Parade. Firstly, we already know that Hoda Kotb will not be hosting this year's parade, which means we will definitely be getting a new host this year. Lots of people have been suggesting many ideas for new hosts, like Dylan Dreyer, Carson Daly, and even Andy Cohen. But I think the most likely replacement for Hoda will be Craig Melvin. He's currently Savannah Guthrie's current co-star on the Today Show. I'm really excited to see how he does as a parade host, and I really hope that Craig Melvin takes over Hoda's position in the parade. I think he's going to be a great host. Now on to my final predictions for the parade lineup, starting with the real stars of the show, the balloons. I hope the balloons get lots of attention this year because they're supposed to be the main elements of the parade and not the celebrities and performances. I've already talked about my predictions for the returning lineup in the first episode in the series, so I won't go into too much detail here. Instead, I'll provide a quick recap of my initial predictions for the returning balloon lineup. I think the giant balloons that will return in the 100th parade will be Mario, Pac-Man, Buzz Lightyear, Shrek's Onion Carriage, Minnie Mouse, Marshall from Paw Patrol, Spider-Man, Nora, Goku, Gabby from Gabby's Dollhouse, Beagle Scout Snoopy, Greg Heffley, Bluey, and Pikachu and Eevee. As for the feature balloons, in addition to Gold Bear, I can also picture Smokey Bear returning for what will most likely be his last appearance if he were to come back. There is also one feature balloon that I think could make a comeback for the 100th parade, and that is Felix the Cat. The 2016 Felix the Cat remake makes a lot of sense to come back this year, especially because of the amount of times Macy's has claimed Felix as the first ever balloon to appear in the parade in 1927, even though they're incorrect, because I hate to sound like a nerd, but actually, balloons didn't debut until 1928, and the Felix the Cat balloon was actually made in 1932, because newspaper clippings, footage, and historical documents from the time reveal that Felix was actually introduced in 1932. Sorry, but I had to get that out there. For the novelty balloons, I think the novelties that will be brought back from last year's parade will be the yellow stars, the acorn, the pumpkins, the silver Macy's star, the blue Macy's stars, the snow crystal ornaments, the poinsettia ornaments, the candy cane, the green Macy's stars, the red Believe stars, and the red Macy's star, which I think will be paired with the green stars this time. As for novelty balloons that weren't in last year's parade that I think will come back this year, of course, I'm hoping they bring back the opening Macy's stars. I'm especially hoping they bring back all three opening stars, and hopefully they can be together again and be behind Tom Turkey again. I also think they'll bring back the ice cream cone, which was planned to make appearances in 2022 and 2023, but was removed from the lineup and never got a second chance. I hope the ice cream cone gets a second chance this year. Next, I have two Macy's OCs that haven't made an appearance in the 2020s yet, and they are Harold the Fireman and the Happy Dragon. I think it makes a lot of sense to bring these characters back. Harold the Fireman is one of the most popular Macy's OCs, and the original Happy Dragon balloon from 1960 is one of the longest running balloons in the parade's history, so bringing back the novelty recreation could honor the original balloon's legacy. I think it would be really nice to see both of these balloons in the parade again. And for my last returning novelty balloon prediction, I have Charlie, Kit, and CJ, the elf trio that would always be before Santa throughout the 2000s and 2010s. I really hope they come back in the 100th parade. I haven't seen them appear in the form of balloons since 2017. I think it makes so much sense to bring the elf trio back for the 100th parade, because Macy's still uses them in promotions, the costumed versions still appear in the parade, and they're still used in other Macy's holiday events like the Universal Studios parade. I miss seeing Charlie, Kit, and CJ in the parade, and I hope they come back to the parade this year. Santa's arrival doesn't feel the same without them. Or the Santa Band, which I'll get into later. And lastly, for the returning Balloonicles, I of course have the Frost Pips along with the Happy Hippo stack. Now for my official new balloon predictions. I'm only going to predict the giant balloons because I don't have any ideas for the feature balloons, novelty balloons, or balloonicles, so I'll only do the giants. I have a feeling we'll get 6 new giant balloons this year because I have a feeling we'll finally get to see a total of 20 giants in the parade. With Macy's going all out for this occasion, it makes a lot of sense to have a lot of new balloons in the parade, and I think 6 is a good amount. For my first new balloon prediction, I of course have a new Sonic the Hedgehog. I mean, it has to happen. Sonic is one of the most popular balloon characters of all time, and I think Sonic needs to be in the 100th parade in the form of a new balloon. And it's not just me, because almost the entire Macy's Parade community, along with millions of Sonic fans around the world, want to see Sonic in the parade again. I really hope the Blue Blur returns to the parade, not just because of his history with the parade, but also because of Sonic's 35th anniversary, which is happening right now. Next, I'm hoping for a new SpongeBob and hopefully Patrick. I've wanted a new SpongeBob balloon since 2024, and I hope this year he gets a new balloon. And I especially hope that SpongeBob is joined by Patrick this time, because Patrick's never been in the parade before, and I think now is the time for Patrick to finally join his best friend in the parade. Next is a new Hello Kitty. I know I've said this many times before, but I miss seeing Hello Kitty in the Macy's Parade. She's one of the most popular characters around the world. She's also been featured on so much merchandise in recent years. And because of her popularity and how marketable she is, I'm surprised Hello Kitty hasn't come back to the parade yet. I really hope Hello Kitty comes back to the parade, and hopefully she'll be joined by other Sanrio characters like My Melody and Kuromi as well. Next is Henry, James, and Ed from Minions and Monsters. Out of all the NBC Universal possibilities for new balloons I talked about in my new balloon possibilities video, a new Minions balloon seems like the most likely idea. I think it makes a lot of sense to have a new Minions balloon in the parade, especially because Minions are the face of Universal, and also because Minions and Monsters is doing really well at the box office as of when I'm recording this, and it's received a lot of high scores from both critics and audiences. Next is Toothless from How to Train Your Dragon. I have a feeling we'll get 2 new NBC Universal balloons this year. I really hope a new Toothless is one of them. With the live-action remake of the sequel coming out next year, and because of the live-action remake of the first movie's box office success, I think we'll definitely get a new Toothless balloon this year, and I really hope this idea happens. Finally, Macy's always includes at least one brand new character to their lineup, and I have a good feeling it'll be Stitch. Stitch makes so much sense. The live-action Lilo and Stitch remake made $1 billion in the box office. There's going to be a sequel to the live-action remake coming out in 2028. And like Hello Kitty, Stitch is also very marketable, and I've also seen a lot of merchandise with his face on it. Stitch is everywhere these days. So I have a feeling he's definitely going to be in the 100th parade as this year's brand new character. Rounding out the balloons category is the miscellaneous balloon units, which include the inflatable costumes, tricaloons, and cold air inflatables. I don't have any ideas for new units in the subcategory either, but there are a lot of units from last year's parade that I hope Macy's brings back, like the Nutcracker and Mouse King, Lox and Java along with Cookie and Crouton, Wigglefoot, the Trouts, and Frida. Speaking of Frida, for this year's parade, I hope they remove the Farmer's Dog branding and instead use the original hot dog carts with the previous iterations of the Frida balloon on them. Moving on to the floats, I already talked about these in my float and guest star predictions video, so just like I did with the returning balloons, I'll just list the floats that I think will be brought back for the 100th parade along with my new float predictions. The floats from last year that I think Macy's will bring back include the Labubu float, Holland America, Lindt, Serta, Lego, the Bronx Zoo, Gold Bowling, Rayo's, Disney Cruise Line, Haribo, Camp Snoopy, Brock's, Toys R Us, Kalahari, Peacock, Jenny-O, Tom Turkey, Kinder, Green Giant, Sesame Street, and the Jolly Polly Pirate Ship. Next are some legacy floats that I think could make a comeback appearance this year in honor of the 100th parade, and they are the Santaland Express, the Soaring Spirit Canoe, the Cornucopia, the Marion Carroll Showboat, Central Park, and the Gift of Freedom. Finally, my new float predictions for this year's parade include a Christmas Village float from Department 56, a float from Starbucks, a float from Pillsbury, a float from Visit Mississippi, the annual Netflix one-off float, whatever that's going to be, and finally a new Santa's sleigh float. Those are my predictions for the main floats. Now for my predictions for the smaller floats and other specialty units. For the toy floats, they're obviously going to bring back the rocking horse and the rocking lobster, and I also think they'll bring back the rocking moose, the rocking giraffe, and the rocking flamingo. Also, I really hope they don't wait until November to add the toy floats to the website this time, because I actually got scared thinking they would actually retire the rocking horse and the other toy floats. As for the specialty units, they'll of course have the NYPD motorcycles leading the parade, along with the NYPD mounted unit and the NYC Parks mounted unit. Another unit that's guaranteed to be in the 100th parade are the Star Sound units, because they're always with the performance groups. I'm also certain they'll bring back the Universal Studios drum as part of the Universal Studios unit. I also hope they bring back the Oreo delivery truck, because it makes a lot of sense for that to be in the 100th parade. And lastly, I'd like to see the rocket car make a comeback appearance in this parade. It hasn't been in the parade since 1996 and it's still operational to this day, so personally, I think it makes a lot of sense to bring this classic unit back to the parade, especially because it's still operating outside the parade. We already know about the 11 marching bands that will be in the 2026 parade, although I wish they would go back to 12 bands, so I won't go into too much detail here. I don't know which band will be first in the lineup. My guess is it'll probably be either Illinois or Alabama, but whoever it is, I'm sure they'll do a great job leading the parade. But as for the last band, I have a feeling the Great American Marching Band will be the last band this year. If they are the last band, I hope they get to be the Santa Band and play right before Santa's arrival. The guest stars are another thing I already went over in episode 3, so I'll give a quick rundown. The artists that I hope to see in the 100th parade include Alexia J, Alicia Keys, the Backstreet Boys with the Young People's Chorus of New York City, Carrie Underwood, Cyndi Lauper, Diana Ross, the Disney characters, Donnie and Marie Osmond, Ella Langley, Jimmy Fallon and the Roots, Kenny G, Kermit the Frog, Leve, Le Seraphim, Leah Michelle, Lee Greenwood, Leslie Odom Jr., Madison Beer, Mariah the Scientist, Pentatonics, Quad City DJs, Rick Astley, Sarah McLachlan, the Savannah Bananas and the other Banana Ball teams, the cast of Sesame Street, Stevie Wonder, and the Village People, and I especially hope that all of the artists will ride on floats. In episode 3, I only talked about the performers, but those aren't the only guest stars I hope to see in the 100th parade, because there are a few other guest stars that I think will make normal appearances, since these ones, except for one, don't really do performances. First is Blippi, who I think will be a pre-parade act. Next is Flavor Flav, who I think will ride on the rocking giraffe. I can definitely see Flavor Flav riding on a float in the 100th parade, and the rocking giraffe is a good float choice for him. I think he would have so much fun riding on that float. Next are two former parade hosts, Hoda Kotb and Katie Couric. Since this is the 100th parade, I bet NBC would want to bring back some of their former hosts by having them ride on smaller floats, and to me, Hoda and Katie make the most sense. I can picture Hoda riding on the rocking horse and Katie riding on the rocking flamingo. I think both of them would also have a lot of fun riding on floats in the parade. Next is Joey Lawrence, who made a lot of appearances in the 80s and 90s, and I think it makes a lot of sense for him to come back for the 100th parade. I think a good float choice for him would be the Rocking Moose. I think he would enjoy riding on the Rocking Moose. Next is Miss America, whoever that will be. Miss America has been a staple in the Macy's parade for years, so of course it makes a lot of sense to have her in the 100th parade. I think a good float choice for her would be the Gift of Freedom. But she's not the only one that I think will ride on the Gift of Freedom float, in addition to Lee Greenwood, because I would also love to see the New York Knicks ride on the Gift of Freedom float too. It all depends on their schedule. If they're home for Thanksgiving, the Knicks wouldn't have any problems getting to the parade. If they can't get the whole team to ride on the float, which would actually be hard to do, They could just get Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart, and Karl Anthony Towns to ride on the float, which is a lot easier and it's a much better option than having the whole team on the float. Either way, I really hope the Knicks are in the 100th parade, and hopefully nothing bad will happen if they're in the parade. Because I don't want to get started on what happened during the Knicks championship parade. Next are 3 of the stars of the new Universal movie Focker-in-Law, which comes out this Thanksgiving. I think it makes a lot of sense to have Robert De Niro, Ben Stiller, and Owen Wilson riding on a float in the parade to promote the movie. I can picture them riding on the Haribo float, which has never had a guest star on it, so I think it makes sense to have them ride on the Haribo float. Next, remember when I said that I hope the rocket car returns to the 100th parade? The reason why I hope to see the rocket car come back is because I have a fun idea in mind for the rocket car. What if they filled it with NBC stars? I think that would be a fun idea. NBC stars always make appearances in the parade, except they're never in the parade. Well, they were in the parade in the past, but in recent years they've only been doing telecast interviews, so I think it would be nice to see NBC stars in the parade again. I think this would be a fun way to feature NBC stars taking part in the parade. The NBC stars I think would make a lot of sense to ride on the rocket car in the 100th parade include Andy Cohen, of course, Ariana Madix from Love Island, Billy Flynn, Carson Boatman, Deidre Hall, and Raven Bowens from Days of Our Lives, Bowen Yang, Mariska Hargitay from Law & Order Special Victims Unit, Peter Krause from the new NBC drama Line of Fire, Taylor Kinney from Chicago Fire, Téa Leoni and Tim Daly from the new NBC sitcom Newlyweds, Tracy Morgan from The Rise and Fall of Reggie Dinkins, who I'm surprised hasn't made an appearance in the parade yet, and Wendy McLendon-Covey from St. Denis Medical. I think all of these NBC stars would have a lot of fun riding in the parade, especially Andy Cohen and Tracy Morgan, and I think the rocket car is a great float choice to fit all of them. Next, I would love to see either IShowSpeed or Drewski, or heck, even both, in the parade. I would especially love to see both of them in the parade. I can picture them being correspondents giving their own commentary on the parade units passing by their vantage points. They could have Drewski on Central Park West and Speed on 6th Avenue, and both of them could talk about the balloons and floats passing by them, as well as talking to families watching the parade. I think they would add a lot of entertainment to the telecast because both Speed and Drewski are very fun to watch. And for my last guest star prediction, I of course have parade executive producer Will Koss, who will hopefully cut the ribbon with Al Roker at the parade starting line. Moving on to the performance groups, I'm going to divide the groups that fall under this category into 2 subgroups, traditional performance groups and background dance groups. My predictions for the background dance groups include 4 performances with the Macy's dancers, and that's it. I hope they go back to the traditional pre-2022 performances from this year, but if Macy's still wants to include the dancers, I honestly hope they include the Macy's dancers in, at the very least, 4 performances. I can see them performing in the opening number, on the Jenny O float, on the Disney Cruise Line float, and on the Lint float. And that's it. No need for more backup dancers. I think this is enough. Now for the traditional performance groups. I will of course start with the Spirit of America cheerleaders and dance stars. They're in the parade every year, so of course they're going to be in this year's parade. I hope the Big Apple Circus returns to the 100th parade. They haven't made an appearance in the parade since 2022, despite their long history with the parade. I hope this classic parade group returns this year. Another group that has made a lot of appearances in the parade is the National Dance Institute, who were in the parade a few times in the 80s, and for this year's parade I think they'll perform on their own, just like they did in 2007 and 2016. I miss these kids so much, and I really hope they come back in the 100th parade. Another group that hasn't been in the parade for a while is Camp Broadway. You might remember seeing them in the mid-2000s parades, and they haven't appeared in the parade since 2017. I think it would be nice to see Camp Broadway in the parade again. I can picture them performing on their own just like their 2000s performances. I already mentioned the Young People's Chorus of New York City when talking about my predictions for the guest stars because I think they'll perform with the Backstreet Boys, but I'll mention them again here because they're also technically a performance group. This is another group that I miss a lot. Their last appearance in the parade was in 2021, and I really hope they come back again this year. Next is the Kilgore College Rangerettes. They've made a lot of appearances in the parade over the years, and I'd like to see them doing a solo performance again this year. I'd also like to see JUMP in the 100th parade. I enjoyed their performances from over the years. Their last appearance was in 2021, so it would be nice to see them again. And last but not least, I had to include the 610 Stompers in this list because these guys are hilarious and I would absolutely love to see them again in the 100th parade. If they aren't in the 100th parade, I will riot. All of these performance groups are amazing, and I would love to see all of them come back to the Macy's parade this year in celebration of the 100th parade. If not all of them, I'm hoping at least most of them make it into the parade, but I'm especially hoping that all of them make it because they're all incredible and they're all some of the most important performance groups in the Macy's parade history, and it wouldn't feel complete without any of them. So I'm hoping that all of them get in the parade. If not all, hopefully most of them make it in the 2026 parade. I already talked about my pre-parade act predictions in episode 3, but I'll give a quick rundown here again. My predictions for the pre-parade acts and Broadway musicals include a Blippi pre-parade act, similar to the Barney pre-parade act from 1994, and for the Broadway musicals, I'm predicting Dreamgirls, Galileo, The Greatest Showman, Two Strangers Carry a Cake Across New York, Wanted, and of course, the Radio City Rockettes. I don't have any predictions for the clowns, but I'd like to see some classic clown groups come back, and I'd also like to see a new vintage clown group. That would be very fitting for the 100th parade. Now for my hopes for the 100th parade, followed by my final thoughts. I'm really excited about the 100th Macy's parade. I think it's going to be a great parade. I'm really excited to see all the new units get revealed, and I can't wait to watch the parade live on NBC. Hopefully it'll finally be a good telecast. Hopefully it'll be so much better than all of the 2020's telecasts so far, because the last telecast I actually remember enjoying was 2019. So I really hope that we finally get a good telecast this year. If you want to hear me suggest ways that NBC could improve their coverage of the parade, I talk about that in episode 2. So feel free to watch episode 2 if you want to hear me talk about things NBC should do to fix their telecasts. Of course, a better NBC telecast is one of my biggest hopes for the 100th parade, but there's also a lot of other hopes I have for the 100th parade. I'm excited to see Macy's go all out. I'm excited to see all of the parade memories from over the years on the telecast. I think that's going to be a really cool feature. I love that they're getting the public involved in the parade by designing their own confetti and letting them share their memories of the parade. I think that's really cool. I'm also excited to see what the parade itself will look like. I think this will be a great parade. I'm excited to see what they do. And I'm just excited in general. I also hope they honor the best moments of past parades. Like, I really hope they show, like, footage of older telecasts and the most memorable clips from over the years. Like, and they could also, like, I really hope they also show, like, some of the most special moments over the years, like the national anthem from 2001 in honor of remembering everyone that died during 9/11. I really hope they show that again. It would be really nice if that was, like, at the start of the broadcast, because I think it would be especially perfect considering this year marks the 25th anniversary of 9/11, so it would be really moving and special to hear that amazing rendition of the national anthem again at the start of the telecast. Because That was the greatest moment in Macy's parade history, and I think it would be so special to hear that incredible rendition of the national anthem again. I'm really excited about the build up to the 100th parade, which is when Macy's announces all of the new units and the returning lineup. The new units especially. The new units are always the ones that everyone looks forward to the most. I mean, we got some really good new units last year. The highlight was easily the Mario balloon. And with this year's parade being a big deal, I'm excited to see what Macy's will do with the build up to the 100th parade. Like, it's going to be really exciting. They already just started the build up the day after the 4th of July. And I just can't wait to see what Macy's will do this year. I think this whole parade will be really good. It might be one of the best Macy's parades ever. And I'm really excited about it. I can't wait for Thanksgiving, can't wait for November 26th. It's gonna be amazing. It's gonna be incredible. And I'm super excited to see what Macy's will do with this year's parade, which will be the parade of all parades. Well, that wraps up all of my predictions for the 100th Macy's parade. Now I've talked about all of my predictions and completed this series. But I'm not done yet. Now that the series is finished, there's only one thing left for me to do.
So are you ready?
I'm ready, Jeff.
All right.
Let's start it off.
Let's do it.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's have a parade! Woo-hoo! Here we go!
Live from New York City, the National Broadcasting Company proudly presents the 100th Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade with your hosts from NBC's The Today Show, Savannah Guthrie, Craig Melvin, and Al Roker, together with an all-star lineup of stars from music, film, television, sports, and the Broadway theater, including performances by winner of NBC's The Voice, Alexia J, New York's own Alicia Keys, pop icons, the Backstreet Boys, with the Young People's Chorus of New York City, country superstar Carrie Underwood, pop music Cyndi Lauper, star of Broadway and Banana Ball Derek Klena, the legendary Diana Ross, your favorite Disney characters, multi-talented performers Donnie and Marie Osmond, country music star Ella Langley, Grammy and Tony Award-winning actor Hugh Jackman, from NBC's The Tonight Show, Jimmy Fallon and The Roots, jazz legend Kenny G, Kermit the Frog, Icelandic recording artist Leve, K-pop girl group Les Seraphim, star of stage and screen Leah Michele, country music great Lee Greenwood, Tony Award winner Leslie Odom Jr., rising pop star Madison Beer, R&B recording artist Mariah the Scientist, a cappella group Pentatonics, hip-hop legends Quad City DJs, British recording artist and internet sensation Rick Astley, Grammy Award winner Sarah McLachlan, the cast of Sesame Street, the incredible Stevie Wonder, disco icons The Village People, appearances by, from Bravo's Watch What Happens Live, Andy Cohen, host of Peacock's Love Island USA, Ariana Madix, from Peacock's hit daytime drama Days of Our Lives, Billy Flynn, Carson Boatman, Deidre Hall, and Raven Bowens, kids' favorite Blippi, from NBC's Saturday Night Live, Bowen Yang, influencer and comedian Drewski, Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award winner Flavor Flav, former parade hosts Hoda Kotb and Katie Couric, social media megastar iShowSpeed, former child and teen star Joey Lawrence, the Labubu's, from NBC's Law & Order Special Victims Unit, Mariska Hargitay, the reigning Miss America, the world champion New York Knicks, the Peanuts Gang, from NBC's hot new drama Line of Fire, Peter Krause, From Universal's new film, Focker-in-Law, Robert De Niro, Ben Stiller, and Owen Wilson. From the Banana Ball Championship League, the Savannah Bananas, the Party Animals, the Firefighters, the Texas Tailgaters, the Loco Beach Coconuts, and the Indianapolis Clowns. From NBC's Chicago Fire, Taylor Kinney. From NBC's new comedy series Newlyweds, Tia Leone and Tim Daly. From NBC's The Rise and Fall of Reggie Dinkins, Tracy Morgan. From NBC's St. Denis Medical, Wendy McLendon Covey. Performances from Broadway's hit musicals, Dreamgirls, Galileo, Two Strangers Carry a Cake Across New York, Wanted, a sneak preview of The Greatest Showman, and the Radio City Rockettes, plus marching bands, hundreds of clowns, fantastic floats, and all of your favorite giant character balloons, including Snoopy, Bluey, Minnie Mouse, Shrek, Spider-Man, and the debut of Hello Kitty, How to Train Your Dragon's Toothless, Illumination's Minions, Sonic the Hedgehog, SpongeBob SquarePants, and for the first time ever, Disney's Stitch. All that and much, much more, including a special visitor from the North Pole, the one, the only, Santa Claus! I hope you enjoyed watching this series as much as I enjoyed making it. Thanks for watching, and let's have a parade.